A Carolina rig. My favorite way to fish. Not. You know better than that. I've said many times that fishing a Carolina rig is about as close as you can come to not going fishing. But it's a dynamite technique. So with that in mind, how should you work your rod when you're working a Carolina rig? What's the best way to get the most bites? Whoa! That's a beauty. Good morning, guys and girls. September 19. We're going to look at a verse from the book of Luke 12:58. Luke, the good doctor. Luke was called a good doctor, is what he was called. This verse is about a lawyer. Lawyers in general. Good lawyer? Well, it doesn't say that. Let's look at it, because this is really a great one. This is a great one. Luke 12:58 says, if your enemy is taking you to court, try hard to settle on the way. You know who said that? Wasn't William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare made a famous statement one time. He said, in order to solve any problem, first, we kill all the lawyers. That's what William Shakespeare said. Way back in William Shakespeare's time. That's what he said. In order to solve any problem, first, we get rid of all the lawyers. Well, this wasn't William Shakespeare that said, if your enemy's taking you to court, try hard to settle it on the way. That was Jesus Christ himself that said that. That's a statement of Jesus. Yep, that's red letters. It's pretty common knowledge that I intended to be a lawyer. I was going to Oklahoma University Law School. One of my college degrees is in political science. I've said many times that God saved me from being a lawyer. God saved me from being a lawyer. You know, when I talk at churches around the country, I talk about the fact that I can't roll my sleeves up and show you needle marks on my arms where I've been hooked on drugs. I can't tell you about being an alcoholic. I can't tell you even about quitting smoking, because I never smoked a cigarette in my life. Because God saved me from all that when he saved me at age 12 years old. But God also saved me from being a lawyer. Now, some of my buddies said that God saved them from me being a lawyer. And that's probably true too. Praise God, he made me into a fisherman. Praise God that he made me into a fisherman and let me make a living at a really, really super fun job. I'm telling you, a super fun job. Jesus Christ knew long ago how messed up the legal system would become. Jesus knew 2,000 plus years ago how messed up the legal system would become. He knew the greed of man would turn the judicial system into a money-bent paper chase. That's exactly what it's become. He knew about frivolous lawsuits and the desire of mankind to blame others. The desire of mankind to blame others. Much of the problems we have in the political side of the count nowadays is because we elect a lot of lawyers to office. That's right. That's exactly what our problem is. Duh. But he being Jesus Christ, gave us some great advice that doesn't cost us $500 or $1,000 an hour. Do we need to get rid of all the lawyers, as Shakespeare suggested? Yeah, probably. Must we follow the advice of Jesus? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jesus says, if your enemy is taking you to court, try hard to settle along the way. Try hard to settle that lawsuit before you ever get to court. Absolutely. If we follow that advice, nothing else, we're going to be money ahead. We'll be money ahead. Here's our tip for today, and it's a good one. We're talking about Carolina rigging. Sweep your rod when casting a Carolina rig. Sweep your rod when casting a Carolina rig. So, when you're fishing a Carolina rig, to make your cast, what you want to do is you want to make a sweeping cast with it, just kind of a sweeping cast with it. Also, in working it coming back, you want to sweep your rod. You don't want to brace it up and jiggle it. So sweep on the cast, sweep on the return. Sweep your rod. As you get that bait, your bait's on the bottom, you want to just sweep your rod a little bit and stop. Wind back to it. Sweep it a little bit and stop. Wind back to it. If you're bumping it, it's basically dragging. It's also called a dragging technique, because you're simply dragging that heavy weight on the bottom and letting your worm back there behind it 18 or 20 inches. And by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with Carolina rig, with a Carolina rig is you've got a swivel up here and you got a bead or something on it, and you got a weight and then you've got a line running from that swivel back to your hook, and you've got some piece of plastic tied on your hook. It may be back here 18, 20 inches. It may be back here 10 or 15 feet as far as that. And you drag the weight on the bottom. It stirs up silt and dust and kicks up stuff. Hopefully gets the fish attention, and then he sees that plastic worm coming along behind him. That's a great technique, The only problem with that technique, it's boring. The other problem is a lot of the fish swallow the hook because you get a lot of bites, you don't know when you get to bite. You don't know, and then all of a sudden there's a fish on there, you set the hook, and you can just widen him in because he swallowed the hook. So, guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one today. And remember, get a lawsuit by the state before you go to court. Remember also,